Good afternoon, everybody. How we doing out here? All right. Proud. Well, welcome to the New York State Police exhibit. I am Sergeant Tom Barton. I am the Division Diving Officer from down in Albany at headquarters, and this is the Underwater Recovery Team Dive Demonstration. So if you were expecting something else, you can leave now. All right, good. Now, before we get going, I introduce the stars of the show for you here today. Are there any kids down front that want a front row seat? Come on down now. You can sit right next to the tank. So come on right under if you want. There's no electricity in that fence. You can climb under. Come on down here. Guys down here. Right down here. Stop right here. Have a seat. Sit right down so you see behind you.
You'll be able to see better. You don't want to
sit.
You guys can go. I'll sit here with you.
Sit. You guys see the K9 show? Sit. Stay. All right. Well, like I mentioned, it introduced the scuba show. Actually, scuba is just one piece of equipment that we use on the underwater recovery team. Scuba actually isn't even a word, it's an acronym. Does anybody know what that stands for? Self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. That's what that stands for. That's what these guys are going to, one piece that they're going to show you here today. Now, our team was formed back in 1932. 85 years ago. We are the oldest and largest public safety dive team in the entire country. Now back in 1932, we used heavy Mark V helmets, those heavy canvas suits, those leg boots. We kind of clomped around on the bottom. We were tethered to the surface with surface applied air. That's how we breathe. Now, in 1942, some guy invented scuba. Anybody know who that is? Jacques Cousteau. Anybody heard of that guy? Jacques Cousteau invented that in 1942. We adopted that to our program around 1956. We're a little slow on the uptake in the Division of State Police. So we're going to get going with our show. We'll introduce the stars, if I can direct your attention to the top of the tank. First up, from the Troop C area down in Binghamton, the team leader down there, Trooper Neil the Ace Case. Next up, his much smaller counterpart from Troop D, up in Pulaski area, Trooper Josh Cross. And last but certainly not least, your hometown hero, the Troop D team leader from here in Syracuse, Trooper Greg Eberl. All right, now we're going to hook up Josh with some scuba gear and get him in the water here. Josh is one of our newest members of the team. He actually came on the team about 2 years ago, the 2015 NOPS dive school class. But we're going to have a little fun with Josh, getting him in the water. We're going to time and see how long it takes him to get into his equipment. Now, is anybody down here, any of you guys have a stopwatch or a phone with a stopwatch on it? You have it? Come right up on it here. Come right up here. Step back here a little bit. And what's your name?
Jack.
Jack, where are you from? Albany, right? Your dad's up there. That guy we're looking at right there. See one of the stuff? He ran away? Yeah, he was one of the smarter guys. They're still running. You know why? Because I looked at them. That's why they're running. All right. Jack, you ready to go? All right. You're going to watch Josh up here, okay? You got your timer ready to go? Okay. Josh, you ready to go up there? Okay, let's get you in your gear. All right, when I say go, you start your stopwatch. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Hey!
What's the matter?
You said he's one of the newer guys on the team?
That's right.
I was thinking we probably should make this a little harder on them. What do you guys think?
Josh was your scuba instructor? Then he ought to be good at this, don't you think?
Hi, Jack. Oh, you taught him how to dive?
All right. Well, what do you got in mind?
I was going to throw it in. He can get dressed underwater.
All right, well, let's do that. What do you think?
Yeah. Should I throw it in the water?
Yeah.
Whoa, hey.
get Josh started down there. It's at the bottom. Josh, you ready?
Ready?
All right, Neil, let's get him in the water.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Am I seriously the only one counting? There's 1,000 people here. Come on, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Go! All right, Jack. Now, as soon as he gets his last buckled up, we're just going to give you the 2 okays, and you're going to stop that clock, okay? You might have to step out here a little bit. Ready? One buckle. There you go. Stop it. What do you got? 26 seconds. All right. Good job, Josh. Jack, thanks a lot. Thanks for helping us out. All right. Now, as you can see, with the use of scuba, that kind of freed us from that surface-applied air hose tether that we started with back in 1932. Josh is going to swim around in there freely. He's also going to show you what any diver wants to achieve, whether it be a recreational or public safety diver like we are. It's called neutral buoyancy. That's neither rising or falling in the water column. Now, he has a weight belt on that'll take him to the bottom of that tank, but he's wearing a buoyancy compensator vest that he actually can put air in out of his tank. The trick to it is to put just enough air in that BC to take him off the bottom, but not float him all the way to the top. Now, we said that Josh started about 2 years ago. He's actually been diving a long time. Like Jack said, he is an open water diving instructor. He's got a lot of time in the water, as is Greg and Neil, both instructors. They have a lot of time in the water, and they've actually perfected a lot of the skills they're going to show you here today. It takes a lot of time. Now we're going to add Neil to the mix. He's going to do an elevated entry for you. You see Josh get out of his way, which is pretty smart. Get ready for the atomic elbow drop. That splash just keeps getting bigger. Now, we train all of our own divers. We have an 8-week training program down in Albany. It's a very selective process. We have a week-long selection process, a pre-selection process to take the best candidates into our school, because after they start, we have about a 40% washout rate. In other words, 4 out of every 10 students that start will be asked to leave because they won't be able to perform the tasks that are asked of them. The first 3 weeks of that 8-week school are designated for open water scuba instruction, but it's based after the Navy Dive School. So just the same thing as the Navy divers go through down in Panama City, that's what these guys go through. So a couple of things that we teach them during that first 3 weeks. One thing is buddy breathing. They're going to show you that now. That's air sharing. Should something happen to one of their pieces of equipment and they're unable to get air out of it, they go to their partner and they can share the air until they get out of trouble. The other thing they're going to show you is a mask clearing technique. If the mask should get knocked off of our face, they put the mask back on underwater, and the way they get the water out of it is they tip the bottom of the mask away from their face, they exhale through their nose, and that air going in the mask will drain the water right out of the bottom of the mask. They get a seal on their face and they can continue with their dive. And we teach all of our guys to fix any problem they can at the bottom. We're diving 60, 80, up to 130 feet underwater. We can't always go to the top and fix any problem we have. We've actually had guys actually sit down on a rock, buddy breathe with their partner until they fix their regulator until they can continue with their dive. Now Neil's going to do one more drill for you. That's called a ditch and down drill. So a ditch and down is simply that. If he ditches his gear, he's going to take it off. He's going to leave it at the bottom of the tank. He's going to go to the surface. He's going to take one breath. He's going to go back down, and he's going to put his gear back on. He's going to don it at the bottom. Now, if you notice, when Neil was going to the surface, he was exhaling all the way up. You saw the bubbles coming out of his mouth. The reason for that is the air that he's breathing out of that tank is compressed air. If he were to take a breath of that air at the bottom of this 15-foot tank and hold his breath to the surface, that air would expand to the point he could actually pass a bubble of air from his lungs into his bloodstream, and he could embolize. It's one of the dangers of diving. Now in the Novice Dive School, this is a timed event. The students have to complete it in a certain time period, or that's one of those tasks that we would ask them to leave if they could not perform. Right there. All right. They get you down. All right, they're going to show you a couple of different ways that they propel themselves around underwater. These are DPVs, or diver propulsion vehicles, also known as underwater scooters. These guys would use this in the case that their search pattern is actually quite a ways offshore. They could grab one of these scooters, take it out to the search pattern, flip it off on the line out there. They do their search. When they get done, they ride that DPV back to shore. Saves them from expending a lot of extra energy and using a lot of air unnecessarily. But like I said, the first 3 weeks of our school is for basic scuba diving. The next 5 weeks is for public safety dive training. They learn to use all equipment they're going to show you here today, and then some. We also teach them full face mask, regulators, and dry suits. Those are the things that keep us encapsulated, keep us safe from contaminated water. But it also teaches them search patterns, and that's what we do. We search for, locate, and recover items from underwater. Now, recreational divers, they get to choose where they go. They always go down to the Caribbean where it's nice clear water. We've got nice clean water in this tank so you guys can see what we do. In actuality, this is what we dive through. This is Mohawk River water. So when you keep in mind when I'm talking about doing their search patterns for these guys, this is what they're actually swimming through. And they see very little. And they do almost all their searches by feel. Now we're going to simulate an evidence search. We're going to search for a murder weapon in this case. We're going to search for a knife. Josh, you got a knife to search for up there? That's not a knife. That's not going to cut it. Thank you. Oh, there you go. There's a knife. All right, let's get that in there. All right, Neil's going to search for this knife. This is a piece of evidence we're going to want to recover. Now, there's a couple different ways he can do this. Now, he can take out a line with a weight on each end. It's called a line search or a jack stay search. He simply swims along that line and he moves the weight every time he gets to it at each end. And he kind of makes his way along the bottom of the river or the lake. In this case, being a metal object, Neil's going to use our metal detector. So he's going to search for this knife underwater. And this is going to be a piece of evidence. So he's going to want to keep in mind that there's evidence on this knife when he recovers it. What? Hi. What? Oh, you found it. Yeah, good for you. Yeah, nailed it. You kind of knew it was there. All right, now he's going to want to preserve this evidence when he recovers it. He's going to use this PVC container that was specially designed for our evidence recovery and used for nothing. Hey, Neil? Neil, it's not a beer mug, man. Yeah, and I know you were using it last night, but that's not what it's for. So he's going to scoop this knife up. You can watch when he scoops it up. He's not going to touch it. We'd be wearing gloves anyway, but you don't want to contaminate any of the evidence that might be on there. What evidence might be on this knife, by the way? Fingerprints. What else? Blood, right? DNA evidence. So he's going to scoop it up. He's going to seal it into this container. Now, what else is going to be in that container with it? The water. Why do we leave the water in there? What happens to the metal objects when you take it out of the water? They rust. They rust very quickly. That rust would contaminate any of the evidence that's on there. So we're gonna take that up, the whole package to the surface. He's gonna hand that off to the evidence technician at the top. The evidence technician is gonna take it to the lab, and he'll process that at a later date and send us back the container. All right, good job, Neil. I'll even give you a treat. It's like working with the animals at the zoo. All right, what's the matter? You don't want the apple? You don't want the apple? You want me to peel the apple? No. Okay. Oh, he wants a banana. Man. You guys are getting tough to work with. As bad as the canine guys. There you go. All right, now he's happy. I like to keep my divers happy. All right, now our team makeup, we have 65 divers assigned to our team across the state, broken up into 8 different troop teams. There's a team leader. There's a team leader assigned to each team. He's full-time, and that's his job, is to administer and operate that team within his troop. Each other diver assigned to that team is on an on-call basis. They're assigned to patrol duties or administrative duties, but they're on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So that means when his birthday comes up, or his kid's birthday, or Christmas morning, New Year's Eve, when the phone rings, these guys show up. That's their job. Now we had a team change, name change this summer. We were New York State Police Scuba. As I mentioned before, Scuba is just one piece of equipment that we use on our team. We also do we have other duties outside of. Why you gotta be like that? You know I signed your overtime slip, right? Yeah, there you go. That's better. Close one. I mean, watching you. Now we have other duties outside of just underwater recovery. We also do swiftwater rescue. See our rescue boats over here. We also do floodwater rescue and evacuations, kind of like they're doing down in Houston now. We also support all the other teams within special operations. Be it the SORT guys, K9 unit, BDU. These guys have a mission that takes them on or over the water. They call us, and we get them to where they need to go to complete the mission. We're going to switch gears here just a little bit. We're going to do a search and recovery of a heavier vehicle, something the divers just can't pick up and carry up. That's going to be our stolen ATV. It's just going to the bottom. And we're going to use a little bit different piece of equipment also, and that's surface supplied air. Now you might say, well, I mentioned surface supplied air that we used back in 1932. Are we going back in time? Well, there are some advantages to using surface supplied air, and if you look at the equipment that Greg's putting on up top, you'll notice that it's a little bit more technologically advanced than they had back then. It does afford us the ability to send an unlimited supply of air down to the diver. So if we're doing more dangerous operations underwater, such as lifting or overhead environments, if the diver should get trapped or snagged down there somehow, we can just keep sending air down to them until we can get them help. Neil, you get that thing started? There you go. All right, let's get that thing in place. Outstanding. I swear this is his favorite part. Now, a couple of the other advantages we have to surface supplied air is it gives him a little bit of protection to his head from falling items. All right? If we're doing lifts, we use a lot of tools like wrenches and things like that. Anything could fall down. It gives him a little bit more protection, especially in overhead environments like ice. If he should come up under the ice and bump his head, he's got protection from that. The third thing is we can talk to the diver. We have a hardline communication system. Now, if you look over here on the table, this is our surface supplied air system. You see 2 scuba bottles. They're hooked up to this orange box here that the air goes through a regulator, comes out the other side in a yellow hose. That's part of Greg's umbilical. That runs all the way up to the top of the tank. It's hooked into his helmet up there, and that's the air he's breathing. Now we got Josh that just splashed. He's wearing a piece of equipment that's a full-face AGA mask. Like I mentioned before, that will be used in conjunction with a dry suit and keep the diver completely encapsulated in the times that he goes in contaminated water. It keeps that polluted water off of his skin. He's also holding a piece of equipment that he's going to use to locate this ATV. You might think that's a flashlight. That's actually an underwater handheld sonar device. Now he's going to point that out. He's going to scan with that. That actually emits a sonar signal through the water. It bounces off of anything under there. In this case, it's going to bounce off our target, the ATV. He's going to hear a tone in his headset. He's going to know that's the ATV. He's going to start swimming toward that target. Now keep in mind the water that he's swimming through, because boom, that's how we find things right there, right head first. We'll feel them before we see them. So Josh is going to secure that sonar. He's going to deploy a Pelican marker device. Now that's a device that the diver carries with him when we're searching for items. He simply ties one end of the ATV. He's going to deploy the floating end to the surface so that we can find this item later. We don't have to search for it again. In this case, Greg is going to use that as a marker to find Josh and the ATV, and we're going to send him down to help Josh lift this ATV to the surface. Diver ready? Out of the water. Now Neil becomes Greg's tender. He's going to lower him slowly to the bottom by the use of his umbilical. You notice Greg's not wearing fins. That's usually the way we deploy surface supplied air in this case. It's just less cumbersome, less equipment to catch under anything that we're lifting down there. He's also carrying 2 lift bags. Now this ATV weighs between 80 and 90 pounds. One of those lift bags is rated for 50 pounds of lift, the other is 60 pounds of lift. So those combined should overcome the weight of this ATV filled with air and send it to the surface. Now we're going to have to get air down to Greg to fill these. Normally he would take down a separate bottle with him to fill these. You don't want to use the air supply that the diver's breathing to fill the lift bags. In this case, there's an extra hose in this umbilical that I can actually send air down through. So we're going to use that to fill the air bags, or the lift bags. Ready for bubbles? Ready? All right, you see these. These guys have been here way too long. Now he'll use that and he'll start filling those lift bags with air. Now he's going to want to lift them fairly equally so that the ATV goes up as flat as possible in the water. You have to remember, what kind of dive is this? This is an evidence dive, right? So he's going to want to preserve any evidence that's on this ATV. So he's got the back going up a little bit, put a little bit more in the front, and up it goes. There we go. And that's how it's done. Right there. We on URT, work smarter, not harder. Now, this technique would work while lifting just about any heavy object from the bottom. It could be a sink, it could be a car, it could be a boat, it could be an airplane down there for all we care. We just keep taking down different equipment. We take down bigger lift bags. If 100 pound isn't enough, we take down a 500 pound, we can take down 1,000, 2,000. If that's not enough, we just keep taking down bags and adding them until they overcome the weight of the item we're bringing up. Now, one more trick up Greg's sleeve. To draw your attention to our brand new tank that was specially designed and built for us here at the exhibit this year. It holds just shy of 9,000 gallons of water in this tank. It's quite a bit bigger than our old tank. He's going to fill a big beach ball from the bottom. Another souvenir. Bounced the wrong way. There you go. All right. Good job. See when he got kicked in the head, he didn't even feel it. Now, I'm going to speak for the dive team. Well, actually speak for all of the operators and special operations. When we come out here, we try to have fun doing this. We try to make it enjoyable for you guys and fun. But when these guys are out in the field, they're doing a job. It's a serious job. It's a dangerous job. And these guys do a job that nobody else wants to do. And they go places that nobody else can or will go. So I'd just like to give them a round of applause and appreciation for the hard work that they do all year round. All right, now, kids, you want to play a little tic-tac-toe with the divers? Yes, no? You guys awake? You don't want to? Okay. You guys get to decide which diver goes back in. So with a round of applause, will it be number 1, Josh Cross, Iron Man. Or number 2, Stormtrooper, Greg Hero. Or number 3, Superman Neil Case. Greg, I think you're up. All right. Greg's in. He's going to play tic-tac-toe with you guys for a little while. You guys want to line it up over here in single file in a nice, orderly manner. No running, no pushing, no crowding, no, never mind. Go ahead. Folks, thanks for your attention. Before you leave, our 100th year historic presentation is in this building over here. Please take a look at it. We also have interactive displays all over our boats, cars, trucks, and have a great day at the fair. Thank you.